Welcome to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show. Tune in for a vibrant mix of fashion, finance, and life's essential foundations. Join us for expert interviews, insightful discussions, and empowering insights to elevate your lifestyle. From fashion trends to financial tips and personal growth strategies, we've got you covered. So grab your headphones and get ready to be inspired. Tune in now to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show and embark on this exciting journey with us.
Welcome back to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show. I am your host, Anne Teresa Lawrence, and now we continue our conversation with Mark Foster, who has shared with us his journey of drug addiction, crime, going to prison, finding God, and redemption. And when we left off, he was talking about the benefits of yoga and how similar they are to what he experienced in the sweat lodge. And we came to the conclusion that transformation is transformation. It's needed and it happens. In this section, we're going to talk about redemption. Mark has been sober for 26 years. He is a transformational leader and a spiritual leader. And I want you to talk about your journey for getting out of prison and what you've been doing since.
Oh God, Teresa, that's a big one. Honestly, like one of the most amazing things is I was walking in today, right? And downstairs there was a lady named Robin. And I used to work at the Cadillac dealership right down the road. I spent over 8 years over there at the Cadillac dealership. And I've been pushing as hard as I can to make a living and to find a living, right? And the best way I knew how, and I was always like good at doing car stuff. But as we know, man, God's plans are different than our plans, right? And so like God kind of disrupted my plan of being a mechanic and made me a drug and alcohol counselor. And at that point, like, dude, 45 years old, right? I was doing mechanics and all that stuff up into that. And then now all of a sudden, neck surgery, spinal surgery. I got 2 screws, titanium plate in my neck.
But what happened?
So I was at work, I got hurt. So then I couldn't really do automotive no more. So I had to make a transition to like drug and alcohol.
Okay.
And so that's what I did. And so like I started at the bottom, like night shifts, all those terrible positions. And then I ended up at a place over on the coast. It was like a really small little drug and alcohol program. They gave me the opportunity to start doing native programming. And so I went and got contracts from like the Indian Health Services up here, like in Rincon, and started figuring out how to do it. Like it wasn't perfect. Kept trying to figure it out, trying to put it in places. So then got a little bit bigger, a little bit smarter. And so then I hooked up with this little small company called transitionwellness.org. And being able to help people and get natives into treatment has been something that I've been learning about recently. And so like I travel to different states and go to the tribes, get in front of tribal councils and just talk to them about like my journey and finding treatment centers that want to participate in helping natives, you know? And so like doing that and working on like the specifics of insurance, learning about that, how to get natives into into really good, safe treatment centers that will help people, right? And so
I want to stop and talk about that. So with Native Americans, like what are their struggles in going into drug treatment centers?
God, man, we've been displaced so many times. So
I want you to, talk about that.
going in there and like for me, like there's 2 kinds of treatment centers. There's a treatment center that wants to get the insurance money. There's a treatment center that's going to go with the ups and downs of the struggles of the clients. And for the client to be open enough to understand that I am Native, but at the same token, I need to learn how to be human. You know what I mean? Because like, I don't want to carry my trauma in here and be like this traumatized, angry Native and still be sober, traumatized, angry Native. That's the thing, man. Like, like everybody's like, I'm Native. I'm like, okay, well, you still need to be human.
Right.
If all you want to do is identify with your trauma and the anger, like that's okay. You can keep it. Nobody's going to take it away from you, but you got to learn how to be human. You got to learn how to be flexible. And that was the hard part for me. I knew my pain. I knew my suffering. Nobody could touch it. I'm going to hold on to this because it's my lifeline. It was my lifeline for a long time. But I have to choose a new lifeline, a lifeline that's going to take me into the future.
Right.
And so like when we're working with certain treatment centers, like we just want to be able to have flexibility where like if they're trying to sweat and we have sweats, we got all sorts of new programs that talk about Native, like congruent stuff, and finding people that really want to do it. And so like we have about 5 people in our network and they're all amazing. And like just trying to grow the network and find safe places for natives that have sweat lodges, that have like really good programs. You know, that's like where I'm at today and what I'm doing, and we're still building it today.
Okay. Can you give a few stories of people you've helped?
Oh God, man. I got a guy named George out of Oklahoma, the quiet, sullen guy.
Quiet Southern guy.
He's just sullen. He kind of grumpy. George comes out and he made it. You know what I mean? Like started like going to the sweats and participating and being open. And we do like a well-variety circle in Oceanside where people come out, and it's just like it's sponsored by West Coast Recovery. You know, one of the big founders for that, his name is Greg Butner. He's like an amazing guy. He's an Australian guy, but he sponsors it. But George today is still in California. He lives in National City. He's working on cranes and all this stuff up here in Escondido. And George made it. The same stubbornness that in his addiction that he had, he learned to apply that same stubbornness to find a job, to stay with his job. I'm gonna be stubborn. Nobody's gonna get me off my track. I'm gonna make it to where I wanna go because like it's worth it. Like this fight of sobriety is worth it. George found it. I got a young guy out of Wyoming. His name is Mitchell. Love Mitchell, man. Mitchell's the quiet guy, but not sullen. Quiet and reserved guy, but once you get him to crack and smile, man, he's funny. You know what I mean? And like I got this little store. It's called Chicken Cone San Diego, right? It's downtown San Diego. And dude, I've had like so many natives working through that little place, all working and just learning how to be in public again, learning how to work again, learning how to participate again.
So you have different, like, I guess, businesses helping the clients come back.
We do like, and sometimes like a business might be strong with us for like 2 or 3 months that like will take employment with people. Mm-hmm. But you know, like the economy changes. So sometimes they might be really good at like taking a couple people to work, like part-time or weekends and stuff like that. Or if we're doing events at Chicken Cone San Diego, like we did Miramar, we did Foodie Land, and we have like 3 or 4 natives, all just like people just making sandwiches, doing the grill, people out front, you know, like just making things happen for people. Like that's what we try to do. So like we're always looking for people to work with. Like I got some young kids that are out of Oklahoma. Like they're over there at a program in Oceanside. We're trying to find jobs for them. So like what I'm trying to do is be a hub my goal is to help people with the insurance aspect for Native Americans to get into treatment, and on the backside of it, employment.
Oh, well, that brings me back to the question which I was trying to ask. Why is it so difficult with the insurance aspect for the Native Americans?
Oh God, man. Like, so the United States government is awesome, right? But some insurances that the government will help with will allow people to go out of state. But there's so many, like the majority of them, they have to keep people in state for their treatment. And I think that's like, it's not a bad thing, but it's more of a struggle because if I'm home and I'm at treatment, it's easier for me to get a phone and text somebody, hey man, can you throw that tennis ball over the fence full of dope? And just don't let nobody see you, you know what I mean? But if you're not at home and you're 2 states away, you may not have that opportunity to text somebody to come and like sabotage your sobriety.
See, stuff like that would never occur to me. So I think it's really important that the listeners get this perspective.
Yeah, getting them out of state, getting them out of their comfort zone, man. So like you gotta grow. Like I tell people, if you're gonna do sobriety, it's not always gonna be this great walk through the woods where you got a little running stream over here, you get a drink of water. Sometimes you're gonna have to walk through a desert to fight for that sobriety, to learn about yourself. And that's like with the sweat lodge. You go in there, you suffer, you have to find that inner self-resolve, that I'm strong, and that heat's condensing me, that heat's pushing me, but I'm gonna push, it's pushing me towards a good prayer. If I let it push me towards a good prayer, I'm gonna learn about myself. And so I think sobriety is the same way. If people are telling you no, you're in the right place, because you gotta learn to hear no. You gotta learn to not get those creature comforts right when you want them. Like that's our thing as addicts. I want it now. I'm gonna get loaded. I'm gonna change my perspective. That's great and all, but the reality is when you stop, you're gonna hear a lot of no's. It's gonna be a lot of time on your hands. You're gonna have to do a lot of reading, working out, walking, and yoga, meditation, introspection, right? Like if anybody really knew me, like I was on the cover of LA Yoga. I was doing tons of yoga. I was running 5 miles a day. My bench was over 400. My squat was over 400. I was like this machine. And it was great. But I had a daughter, and all of a sudden I was like, okay, all this stuff is really good, but I'm a parent now. Holy cow. Like parenting was like the most scary thing in my life because I wanted to do everything the opposite of what my parents did. Like my daughter took me to the most amazing places, man. Like just right over here, there's like a little ice skating rink. Went to nationals. She was in like all these little natural beauty pageants, right? Dude, my kid took me all over doing that stuff, right? And then she does these
And you got
interviews.
to enjoy it.
Oh
And
my
isn't
God.
that fabulous? When you look back at your journey, can you ever, your younger self, could you ever have imagined experiencing that with your daughter?
I would never thought about that. Like my daughter's so amazing. Like I remember sitting there at Paramount, and she was pinned like with this other little girl, and final. And I remember like she walks through these double doors, and you hear, "Oh my God, Mia Foster's," and they're like, "Hi, Mia!" Like 20 people in there, all waiting to talk to my daughter, and I was like sitting there, and I'm like, dude. My life is not even close to the same of what it used to be when I was in my addiction. Like just having that unseen faith and unseen trust to do the right thing. Dude, I'm like being a parent has been amazing. And my daughter has pushed me, by her just being herself has pushed me to a place of just it's amazing. I've grown being a great parent, or trying to be a great parent to keep up with her.
Oh, that's beautiful. And with that, it's time for another break. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show, where we talk about food, fashion, finance, and foundations of life. We are live on KCAA Radio Broadcasting Network. KCAA is affiliated with CNBC, NBC News, and NBC Sports. We are sponsored by Sheltered Studios, Fire Connect, and Building Solid Foundations.